Got my Diet Coke. Hello! I thought today we would talk about misconceptions of agoraphobia. I think maybe people have been looking at agoraphobia a bit more and thinking about it and talking about it because of lockdown and everybody experiencing having to stay inside. I've made a video on lockdown versus agoraphobia. If you want to watch it, I will leave it down below. But they are very different things. However, because people are looking into agoraphobia a bit more, I thought I'd make this video. There are a lot of misconceptions about agoraphobia and things that people think of agoraphobia without really doing research or talking to anybody with agoraphobia. Quickly want to describe that agoraphobia is described in the dictionary as a fear of open spaces, which it is definitely not. That has never been something that I've thought it is. I'm equally as scared of big open spaces as I am of small spaces. Agoraphobia is when somebody finds it difficult to do things like leave their house or leave their comfort zone, or something that they find safe, which can be their home, their room, or it can be a wider circumference. It could be their town or their city. It's when they have a comfort zone that they find safe, and leaving that comfort zone is very difficult. That's how I would describe agoraphobia. So let's talk about some of the misconceptions of agoraphobia. I've already talked about fear of open spaces. We don't have a fear of open spaces. We have a fear of spaces that are not our comfort zone. That could be outside our front door and the rest of the world. It could be outside of our room. It could be outside of... I kind of have in my head my agoraphobia safety net. And it also sometimes depends on the day. Sometimes I feel like I can leave that little thing that I have. Sometimes I feel like it's actually smaller than that, and maybe I find that leaving my house is more difficult. But for the general times, I have kind of like a safe zone, and when I leave that, then I start to feel anxious. The second misconception is that we can't leave our house at all. When I first had agoraphobia and when I first started to really badly suffer with it, I didn't leave my house at all for 3 months, and every single day I thought about leaving the house. In fact, most of the time I was thinking about how can I leave the house, how can I recover, how can I get over this. But many people with agoraphobia can leave their house, and many people with agoraphobia have more than one safe place as well. When I started to get out a bit more, it maybe took me a year or so, but after about a year, the place that I worked became also another safe zone. So they were also 2 minutes away from each other, so there was one road that started to become kind of like a safe road, and I'd feel safe if I was walking on that road. Many people with agoraphobia, probably without saying so to you, if you're somebody that has a friend with agoraphobia, most of the time leaving their house, there will probably be thoughts of, I will panic when I go out, this bad thing will happen when I go out, what if this happens? They're not probably free of agoraphobic thoughts. Even when you meet up with them and they're absolutely fine and they don't panic and everything's okay, they probably have safety procedures in place to make sure that they're okay. They might have emergency medication with them. I always have emergency medication with me. They might have taken one in order to go out with you, and they also might be thinking of exit strategies. So yeah, it's very unlikely that that person that is leaving the house that has agoraphobia isn't thinking about their agoraphobia. Another misconception that I've had from people before is we should just put you in a car and take you really far away and then leave you there, and you have no choice but to get on the bus and get home. For so many reasons this is not going to work, and is a bit offensive to say to somebody, because I think if that would work then we would have done it and we'd be cured. But if you're not a therapist in that way, then probably don't say that kind of thing, because it's not going to help. However, exposure therapy does help when you take it really small and you follow the person that has the agoraphobia. I really believe that works. Going to your doorstep and then going a little bit further and a little bit further. But getting the agoraphobic person and popping them on a plane and sending them away, that's not going to help. That's going to be pretty traumatic and going to make them feel probably a lot worse. So that's not going to work. Similarly, I think people think that if you do something once as an agoraphobic person, then you will immediately not be scared of that thing. That's definitely not true. I really wish it was true. But if I am doing something scary, even if I do it every single month, the anxiety can ease if I'm in a good situation. But there's certain things I've done a lot of times and still find it very, very scary. However, the anxiety does lessen. Me and my dad last year, probably every single month, went into town with the car. once, maybe sometimes twice a month, and at the end of last year I was so much less anxious in the beginning. So that does work sometimes, but it really has to come from the individual person, and it has to be fun as well. Like, I think when we think about exposure therapy, we think of like terror and so much anxiety. I think if we make it fun for people that are going through it, then it's a lot easier. If there's something rewarding at the end, like buying a new dress or getting a coffee or seeing friends that don't make them feel anxious, then that'll work. Another thing that people might think is that we all have the same fear. People with agoraphobia a lot of the time will suffer with other phobias, and agoraphobia is kind of the last result in the brain, is how I would describe it. I had anxiety for many years, I had panic attacks for many years, I had emetophobia and OCD, agoraphobia was kind of when my brain had had enough and was like, right, we're not leaving, because I wasn't listening to my body, etc. That's another video, but a lot of people with agoraphobia have agoraphobia for different reasons. I know people that have agoraphobia because their social anxiety is so severe they can't imagine bumping into anybody outside. Mine's is definitely the opposite. I love bumping into people outside. If you talk to any of my friends, I like to talk to any member of the public that I see on the street because I just like people a lot. But my fear is of situations, so feeling sick in a shop or feeling a panic attack happening when I'm in a car. So we all have agoraphobia for different reasons, and agoraphobia might feel very different to the different people experiencing it. But a lot of the time people have panic disorder or some form of anxiety before they get agoraphobia, and actually there's a lot of studies into emetophobia, OCD and agoraphobia and how a lot of people experience all three, which is very interesting. But yeah, people with agoraphobia have it for different reasons. Some people have had a really traumatic thing happen to them. In fact, most of the time people have had trauma in some way when they have agoraphobia, but it can be PTSD related, it can be so many different things. So yeah, we don't all have it for the same reasons or in the same way. The next misconception is it happens out of nowhere. We just randomly have agoraphobia. We're walking along one day and then we get agoraphobia and we can't go out. Like I was saying before, it's kind of the same point, but a series of things and trauma and difficult things happening to you is the reason that you will get agoraphobia or anxiety in general. Or I believe most mental health illnesses come from going through difficult stuff. I believe that sometimes you are probably a more sensitive person, you're more prone to things like that, and maybe there is also chemical imbalances, but the chemical imbalances happen because you go through really difficult things, things that are traumatic to you, and especially when you experience these things when you're a young child. So it doesn't just happen from nowhere, although sometimes it can feel like that. Sometimes it can feel like, I never used to be like this, I used to be able to get on planes, I used to be able to do these things. There are reasons why somebody will get to that point. And sometimes you have to dig quite deep to get there. That's why it's really important to go to therapy for these things. But yeah, you don't just get mental illnesses out of nowhere. The next misconception is that we are shy and we are really introverted, and we don't like being outside because we're shy people. I'm not shy. I'm really not shy at all. I make videos online. I like to talk to random people all the time. I'm probably more of an extrovert than an introvert. I really like people. I just don't like being far from home. That's my thing. That's what makes it difficult. And actually, I'd really like to be far from home. I'd love to be able to go on holiday, go to different places. I'd love to be able to go up time with my friends and just like be relaxed. There's loads of things I'd like to do, but my anxiety makes it very, very difficult to do that. So yeah, I'm not shy at all. I really, really like people and I love talking, and I could talk all day. But yeah, I'm not shy. One of the big misconceptions that we have, and one that I saw a lot of when I did an article, I did this article, and in the comment section, I went to the comment section, loads of people were like, loads of people would love to stay at home all day, but you just don't get like that. Or everyone experiences anxiety, like that's just taking it too far and just being sensitive about it. Anxiety disorders, especially severe ones like agoraphobia, are very serious. They're very serious illnesses, and yes, we've all experienced anxiety, and I've experienced minor forms of anxiety, like when I was in school and you all had to read bits out in the classroom from a book and nobody really wanted to do it because it was embarrassing and you felt anxious about it. Or my first day of school, or going to parties, I'd always get a bit anxious about that. but it's very, 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 very different from agoraphobia. Agoraphobia feels like when you leave your house something unbelievably bad is going to happen. It's like just this feeling of constant doom. It is like a feeling of life or death. It really feels like life or death. It feels like absolutely horrible. And yes, most people would like to stay home, but like we've all experienced with lockdown, actually staying at home isn't that great. And the vast majority of people that have agoraphobia, I imagine, want to be able to go to work, want to be able to have a normal life, see all their friends going out together and having fun and going to cafes and going to work and going to university and studying and living full lives, and we are not able to do any of that stuff. It's not fun. There's no part about it that's fun, and even when we are staying at home, we still have anxiety constantly all the time. So it's not fun. It's not something that you should wish for. It's very, very brutal, and yeah. The last thing I just wanted to say before I end this video is agoraphobia, while it's so difficult and it feels like you will never overcome it and never get out of it, you can, and I am definitely not recovered completely, but I am at a place now where I'm just about to go meet my friends, actually, about 5 minutes away from my house, but you know, I don't have extreme amounts of anxiety doing that. I know I'll be fine. I can walk probably 10-15 minutes away from home, you know, things are getting easier, and I know that one day I will probably get on a plane, and you know, I believe that that will happen, and I believe that it will happen to you as well. And I know some of you have suffered with agoraphobia for many, 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 many years, but I still believe that we will all get there. I really, really do. And yeah, I hope you're doing okay. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you soon. Bye!